scientific channel, and I have with me the Buggeman, Victor, and today...
Yeah, the Buggeman. Yeah, I know it's hard to pronounce. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's kind of it's a play on the Boogeyman, because we're boogeymen that are coming and scaring people.
Not in the disco, no.
No.
And yeah, today we're going to go through some pictures, of Starfort. Oh my gosh, and there we go. All right, so let's jump straight into it. So these are all Victor's images, and so we'll just let us know what this one is, Victor. This is interesting. It's round. Looks like it's buried.
I made like a combination of pictures that I would call anomalous. I have a bit of feedback on your end. Can you perhaps turn down your mic volume? I think it might be.
Is that better?
That's here. No, it's still feedback. There's still feedback on my end.
That's not plugged in. Oh, hang on. Let me do this. This will probably be better.
I'll just cut the recording.
Gosh.
I'm not stopping it, but we'll just cut it when.
Oh, okay. Just pause it. Yeah. Okay, is that better? Can you hear that?
Yeah, that sounds much better.
Okay,
so
cool.
Okay, so where were we? This I made a compilation of pictures that I will call Starfort anomalies. There is like certain things about Starforts that need to be, related to their common narrative of how Starforts operate and what they were used for. So when I've been scanning through old archives, I have been sometimes finding some peculiar details about Starforts that seem anomalous. What we're looking at here is an extraordinary book I found over a year ago, and it has Starforts and fortifications on a whole nother scale. What this is I would like to point to you is like a fortification type which is really, really weird in a defense type of manner, because they're saying that these moats are the defense, and then within the central structure you have this tower, right?
And the moats and the tower.
Yeah, so the moats are like sloped. It would be easy to run up as soldiers against these moats. And when you got to the tower, you would really have the real task at hand to get through the tower. But what this looked like to me is not like a defensive structure. It looks like a factory or a foundry.
Yes, very much.
Like when you see that central structure, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 stories. And if it's an old world building, then the stories are probably gonna be taller or, more far apart than our stories today in buildings, right? Our levels, because those people were taller back then. So this is a very tall tower. Why would you need such a tall tower in the middle of a Starfort? And it's something that you will see as a theme in my pictures, that I've been compiling small redoubt Starforts where they put a large central tower in the middle of them. And I've been wondering, why would you need that? Like a tall tower in the middle of a Starfort. So I'll just leave that up to you and the audience.
Because we're told that it's the outer walls, the star shape, that is the defense, because we're told it's all against cannon fire.
Yeah, cannon fire. Exactly. And that will perhaps in this episode or the other that we're making come a picture that will show that Starforts were built way before the invention of cannon fire. So that completely blows their narrative.
Nice. And the internals here, it's almost like machine looking, isn't it? It's like, especially this way, how this is sectioned off into 4. It's got a gap, and then we've got a whole closed thing and all these. Yeah, it's very machine-like. I mean, almost magnetic, isn't it? Like if these were,
it looks like a gear.
Different poles.
But what you also notice, right? It has that battery shape because it has
Yes.
that elongated section to the left, and then it
Yep.
has a round circle around it. So that's the battery shape.
Like the core in
And
there, exactly.
it's also the battery shape is also in the shape of the Shiva Lingam.
Okay.
The Shiva
Which
Lingam is like a Hindu
is
sacred
that?
symbol,
Yeah,
but it's also made into stone in
in
a
the
lot of on a
statues and
lot of
things,
temples.
isn't it? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it has that exact same shape with a little. It's like the digital on symbol when you turn something on. That's
Mm.
that's comparable symbol to that shape. It has like that elongated section in one end of the circle, and then the rest of the circle is evenly.
Oh,
Uh,
yes,
yeah,
yes. I know what you're talking about. I can picture it now. Yeah.
yeah,
It's sort of wider, but yeah, it has the circle and then a wide bit coming out here, doesn't it? Yeah.
indeed. And also just think about the level of engineering this would have required to make the circular moats perfectly circular and make that central tower in the middle. It requires something. It would cost millions of dollars to perform something like this today.
It would. And you can see the bottom of it here is exactly level with the bottom of the moats. Then we've got
Yeah,
infill. Then we've got these lands on top. And yeah, these 3 stories are below ground.
indeed. So we're perhaps looking at a 10-story building within a fort.
Yeah.
Um, it's
Wonderful.
it's really crazy, and
It
these
is.
types of structures are not left in the world today. I
No.
bet you that these types of structures were targeted because they couldn't be left. And
Functioning.
if you look in the middle section again, it has those gears. It reminds me of if you have you watched Ed Litzkalnin's Coral Castle.
Yep.
He has a wheel that
The
he
wheel.
says is
Mm.
used to perform something magnetic to make them levitate,
The fly.
and
Mm.
reminds me a lot of this.
Yes, well, that's
Uh,
what I'm thinking. If these are opposite poles and this in the middle, like if this was all negative or something and this was positive, would that make that spin?
yeah, that's a very. I love that
Huh?
you said that because a thing that I have in my pictures that we will come through eventually is the rotating forts, and I found some references to the old American wars where they built these structures out in the sea and they were able to rotate them.
Wow.
So they would rotate 360. And something that is really weird about that is they said that they needed that to have a larger range with the cannons. But if you really think about it, these structures, they have supposedly cannon holes in each and every angle nearly. So rotating them is pretty redundant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the
Ridiculous.
rotation would be for something else, I guess. The rotation would be for mechanical power.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Or just as a function of whatever the machine was doing.
Indeed.
Mm. And I mean, if they're building these in the ocean too, I mean, a bit reminiscent of a lighthouse shape, isn't it?
Yeah, it reminds me also
You know, they're quite
of
round.
do you know that tower in France? Tour de Cordouan?
No.
Well, the audience can look that up because let's go to the next picture.
Next one. Yep.
Oh, I love this one. This
Yeah,
is
this is
Paris.
okay.
And the central part of Paris there, it has 33 kilometers of bastion walls around it.
Oh, around here.
Yeah, that's 33
Oh,
kilometers
wow. And they're
exactly.
all, yeah, right. They're all triangles the whole way.
The whole way, yeah. So it's a quite unique fortification style. And if you zoom out a bit, you will see the readout ring very clearly here on this depiction.
Yeah.
Look at
Around
that.
here, have all these like citadel sort of forts.
Yeah,
Wow.
these are what we would normally say are citadels.
Mm.
But look at them here.
Oh, what have I done? Sorry. Oh, God.
Oh, you're making me anxious.
I'll stop clicking. Yeah, wow.
Oh
Okay,
well.
so this wall, we've got the city, and also I just noticed the amount of cathedrals in here.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
that's something I've been noticing too. In some old shots I've got, I think, cathedrals are also, they're just synonymous with the actual star forts. They're actually, I think, a part of the whatever they are, the mechanism, I don't know, maybe they're just part of
Oh yeah,
the,
13th Monkey will love you saying that. If you notice in our map, we actually place the stars when we mark the stars. We place them on the cathedrals for that reason.
oh, okay. Because, yeah, I did, I did a video and I was looking at one and we sort of, I couldn't find the walls, but I went down, I could find the cathedrals exactly where they should have been. And then I
Indeed.
noticed that they're in all the plans. They're like not plans, I guess, but in the drawings of the old drawings, they're always noted as part of the fort.
Yeah. To me, I think it is I think the cathedrals perform the exact same task as the pyramids would do. They're just built in another style. It's just another form of pyramid, so to speak. That's just something that came to me the other day, that I would think that the pyramids are a specific type of cathedral, and the cathedral is a specific type of pyramid. They're both performing the same function.
Mm.
Um,
What are you
and what
thinking?
I
Sound or?
well, if you look back into like Hermeticism, they say it was for initiation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So so you would go in there. So there's definitely something going on with sound, because in the modern era, you could get like a digital program that would play certain frequencies into your ears, and they say that was for certain experiences in your mind. So that was a type of initiation in the modern era. You could get like I can't remember the name of the program. I shouldn't perhaps be advertising it, but you could get like certain frequencies that would be called like the gates of Hades. And if you
Oh,
listen to that in 20 minutes, you would start hallucinating, and some would have
oh,
horrific experiences. And
yeah.
I think that is the deal with all the frequency geometry that are in those buildings, because they they are able to tune in on certain frequencies and maintain those frequencies. And I think that was one of the specific functions.
Nice. Because, yeah, there's a channel called Mark Fio. Have you seen? He's got a video called, I think it's Antique Buildings, but he looks at cathedrals, and you know how when you look from the top, a lot of them have got the cross, that sort of
Hmm.
cross bit. Under all those cross bits is always an internal dome.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
like a sphere of gold or something.
yeah, like
And
a half sort of dome up in the ceiling, and then below
yeah,
that is there's always this tiling patterns, like sort of chevrons and those sort of Indian looking, interconnected Celtic looking designs, and even checkerboards. And he was talking about how the with sound it goes up into these domes, focuses in the middle where we have, like, the pointy bit, and then below it you've got all these tiles, which is basically rock of different density, and he was saying that acts as a circuit board.
yeah, that is I think partly also what we can say about the Starforts. They look like giant circuit boards in many instances.
Mm.
Some are completely symmetrical, and others are this broken natural pattern that actually looks like a cell wall, or yeah, it looks organic, naturally evolved, so to speak. Like the streets on the old cities are crooked, and but yet they are perfect in a way.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like every single one is different, which is why I think that they must have something to do with frequency, and they've been attuned to where they're actually to where they are, to the different energies on the grid and everything. And I think that's why we get different. It's like different frequencies in cymatics and things like that.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're right. And I think that these readout systems around Paris we're seeing here play into a sort of a communication hub. If you look at them, they have like a very large pole flag in the middle of them, each and every one of them. And like I feel like that they are called signal forts in many instances. So they're signaling something, and that has to do with communication, and that is useful in all sorts of ways. But why would you make a ring around a city? That also kind of, I think it adds to the idea of some sort of protection. Like it could be, it doesn't need to be like war protection. It could be protection from something else. Something that is also noteworthy is that they are situated on small little hills.
Yeah, I was just going to say that along here,
And
and one big hill along here. Yeah.
Yeah, that could mean that they are also mining outposts, and that these hills are being mined, quarried underground. Because something I've noticed, and that we will see in my my pick dump here, is that some of them have tunnels underground, and they're doing something with them.
Well, you definitely see that a lot in the forts in Australia and New Zealand, the older ones that they've turned into, World War II forts.
Yeah.
And supposedly a World War II forts, they've always got tunnels all underneath them, and you often find outposts where the tunnels pop out,
Yeah, indeed. And so it's like a communication system, and it could also, these tunnels, sometimes they have evidence of some sort of rust on some of the metal, and they have small little stalactites from the roof sometimes, which would indicate that running water went through them.
Okay.
And, yeah. So these tunnels, even though they have small little windows that seem to be for sticking out your gun and firing, it could be for something entirely different. It could be for underground aqueducts.
Some kind of valve system.
Yeah, what could you use underground aqueducts in a forest? Like if you put water into like a tunnel like that and force it into a confined space, you can create a flow, and that flow could be useful for sending small packets of commerce. Imagine like a siphoning system or a pneumatic communication system where you're siphoning through pressure and a tube small little messages and notes that you could send around in a system underground.
Wow, like those systems we see in big supermarkets that go up in the ceiling.
Indeed. That would be quite easy. It would be cost effective. It would be natural, and it would be available to people in this era, at least as an idea.
Yeah.
So who's to say that the aqueducts were never used as waterways to actually send in small little boats packets of products and food and messages?
Definitely, yeah, without having to leave your outpost. Because I mean, water's definitely part of these. That they all have, obviously have the moats, and that this one's got a river going straight through it, which we see a lot as well. They're always, a lot of them on the coast, on rivers, so water's definitely a part of them.
Yeah, it seems to be like the law of these outfits in many cases, that water is going to play a part. But we also find the mountainous alpine forts that have no water connected to them from the outside. But Mike, he's theorizing that with those instances, there will be a natural spring, perhaps below the fort.
Yeah.
That will probably be some sort of water underneath it then. But yeah, let's jump to the next one. Because this ties a little bit more into like the communication idea. Here you see like 3 starforts.
1, 2, 3.
And they have these towers in the middle of them with large spires on them. They look like some sort of antenna system.
Yeah. So this is the central Star City, and these are 2 outposts, yeah?
Perhaps, yeah. Or they're all 3 outposts. I'm not sure.
But yeah,
Look at that.
Exactly right. And I mean, you wouldn't need a lot of tech or anything really to send signals from there, that kind of distance on tall towers, would you?
No, and
Wouldn't
you
it?
mentioned that that a lot of the spires have these cupolas underneath the crosses. And
Yeah.
I saw yesterday that in 1920s in the US there were some guys creating a vehicle that pulled electricity out of the air, and this device, this motor, which was an atmospheric device, or atmospheric electricity motor, kind of like Tesla's idea, right? This little motor had two balls as an anode and a cathode sticking out of the top of the motor, two metal spheres, just as we would see
So
on the
yeah.
top of those metal antennas. And I have some pictures showing that they're making liquid metal mercury antennas today that
Oh.
has a little ball on and at the bottom of the antenna with a large sticking spire out on the top of it.
Really?
Yeah, they experiment with those today, and there's like this Ukrainian guy on YouTube. He made a mercury ball antenna for his TV, and then he put his
Mm.
TV out in
I've seen that
like in the
out in the
middle of
field.
nowhere. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And then he called CNN from Russia or Ukraine.
Yeah, I did see that actually. Yeah, he was tuning into American TV or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and
And it was
that's
just
done
like
by
rabbit
that.
ears, wasn't it? Just a little rabbit ears kind of antenna.
Yeah, well, I
Wasn't
actually
big.
have something. I have on in my other pictures, Campbell. I have actually a what could you call it? It's like a little section I have that is called liquid metal ball antenna. I could just quickly show you that,
Yeah,
um,
sure.
because then we can get back to the star footage. It won't be
Yep.
long. What did I call it? Metal ball antenna?
Middle.
Something like that.
Yep.
I just need to find it. Oh yeah, mercury ball antenna. Right. Okay, so I'll start my screen share then.
Yep.
Let me
Yep.
know
I'll give it a
when it's
mark.
good. Are you seeing my screen?
Not yet. Yep. Can see it now.
Okay. Look at this. You see? Breakthrough in liquid metal antenna. And this is 2015. And this is the what would you would have on the
Wow.
top of the spires. Yeah. So
It's very similar, doesn't it?
indeed. So very similar
There they
to
are.
there they are. You see, they have the exact same, only just like a pole sticking up, a ball. Isn't
Wow.
that quite? Yeah, it just those two pictures made me appreciate these buildings a lot. When and this is in the 1600s, and they're building these metal balls. That just
Yeah.
implies that these guys have an immense technical skill.
I was gonna say, how do you build one of those?
Indeed. And this flag up here is metal as well, I would guess.
Ah,
Some
okay.
sort of
So
purpose it has.
could be a directional type thing, maybe.
Indeed, indeed. Very much so. A bit better quality here. And you see they have these reservoirs, these sockets.
Yeah.
Also here, same kind of deal. And here.
Oh, hey, nice.
Yeah, I have much of that of this stuff. And this is from Kershaw's Machina Magnetica. And they're showing these balls and all sorts of weird stuff around about them.
Nice.
Like this little
Magnetica,
bit.
because I was going to say, yeah, the Vimanas from the Sanskrit texts are said to have had mercury in them, which gave them anti-grav property through
Indeed,
electromagnetism somehow.
exactly. So mercury is really a common denominator in all this research that binds us together with the ufologists.
Yeah.
I'll just make people notice these wires down here. I don't know what they could be, but they're connected, these balls, and it has like this under section. I have no idea what they are. So yeah, just a little. This is Starfort related. So when you see on the points of the Starforts, they have these constructions, and here you can see that they have.
These are the towers. Okay, gotcha. Sorry, I was
Yeah.
looking at that. I was going. They had round ones. Yeah. Okay.
So they have these on the towers. They will have some sort of tag on top of them on the Starfort.
Okay.
Here you see balls. So yeah, the here you have in old Sri Lanka, I think it is, or India, some sort of temple with a ball on top of it, very much Phoenician looking like.
Yeah.
Here, very old woodcut from 1500s, showing some sort of weird check with the balls.
Wow.
Oh yeah, this one is extraordinary. Look at this.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah,
how
these
do
metal
they even
balls.
make those with this ball sitting on the top? Because that's the top of that antenna is pretty thin.
Yeah, this is I think this is the Paris Exposition.
Oh, really?
No, sorry. I think this may be a German one.
German exposition, so it's probably been burnt burnt to the ground.
Yeah, and they are calling this the California building, and it looks Moorish.
It doesn't look like California, does it? No.
Yeah. Oh yeah, these are the civilian, or oh no, not the civilian. Sorry, the Sevilla in Sevilla, Spain towers. They have these balls, also very beautiful.
Well, everywhere. And another thing you see, like today, a lot of people use the balls, as ornaments in their garden on their fences and things, but they're just cement now. They're just like a cement ball. Do you see that?
Yeah, I have.
All
They
over the
do
place
that.
in Australia.
They do that in Denmark as well. It's weird. People just like the sphere as a form, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's almost like it's such a familiar form that it's kind of, and I don't know, it's like in a memory or something, and it's just, we've just been told, oh no, there's no tech there. It just looks like a ball. Here, buy a cement one, and everyone's like, oh, okay.
Indeed.
Nothing to see here.
And it's the same with this. This is like I found this out through Sylvie Ivanova from New F channel. She showed like this is like a atmospheric electricity device of modern era. And look at this. It has that same thing. Even has like a cross kind of deal on the top.
Yeah, and look at that. That's also, I mean, you see that everywhere, don't you?
Indeed.
Ball horns, is that what we call it?
Yeah, I think
that's
so.
everywhere, especially in Egyptian photos. You see it everywhere, that shape.
Indeed. It also looks like the anchor a bit.
With with the top bit on it, definitely.
Like the anchor and the ankh of the Egyptians and the cross are basically the same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Anchor, I never got that before. Nice.
And I wondered whether these balls here, right, are powering
these. Well, look at that. 3 balls, 3 wheels.
And transporting cattle.
Yeah, right.
This is like in a museum, but I found this little booth to be very interesting.
Yeah. Because that does look like the top of a spire, that thing, didn't it? Like that.
Look at these, though. You see, they even drew them in as if they're like discharging.
Doing something.
Yeah.
Looks a bit like.
Look at these, and also the chevrons.
Ah, nice. Nice.
And you can see they have knobs on them, so these were probably lights. Yeah. This is the lighting. This is the freaking lighting system of old days. Yeah. For entertainment purposes. It's crazy.
And just oh God, look at the size of that statue.
It's in Toscana, and it's like a military exhibition.
Okay, like a tattoo.
And it's showing like the military garments or outfits of Europe, America, Asia, and Africa. So this is the old world, like the old empire would have included all of these 4. Yeah, this is Atlas, and Atlas is normally shown holding up the sphere Earth. But no, in the old world, Atlas was only holding up the celestial sphere.
Okay, and these are the star signs.
Yeah, you have the scales of Libra here.
Oh, look
You
at
have
that.
Scorpio there, Virgo, Leo, and Cancer.
Wow. What year is this from, do you know?
This is from the 1600s, going off of my memory. I think there's a way to figure out the time down here.
And you said, oh, it does, America. What?
Yeah,
How,
yeah, but it is
how did
post.
that work?
It is post Columbus.
Yeah, it would be post, but I mean, what, 100 years post, and then what are they saying? That, I mean, America wasn't America then, it wasn't independent. And if they come back to show
Yeah,
off their uniforms in Europe or something.
yeah, this would be way before the independence. Yes.
Yeah. That's just,
Yeah, so that's a good way. That's a good question. Yeah. Also, notice giants,
oh, yes, nice. Nice.
or they could be kids, of course, but
Right.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think they would put kids in military outfits like this unless they had
No.
like children's armies. But yeah,
Wow.
I don't know. They just
No,
seem
no.
like
Well, they did have the
yeah,
what
but like this is the technology that these balls play into. Like here you can see one light up, and this is more like this is allegory, of course, but it shows the common technology of the day. This one, like large spire,
Wow.
and the gardens, and it even has like a little one over here as well. This is from Russia somewhere. I think it's maybe outside of St. Petersburg. And this is like a electrical tower and has like hanging balls that are
Wow.
lighting up. Yeah.
And all these look, I mean, apart from the fact that they look, well, that looks similar to the Eiffel Tower, but I'm thinking Wardenclyffe, Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower was very similar to that kind of look,
Yeah,
design.
indeed.
Did that have a ball on the top of it? I think it did, didn't it?
Yeah, it was like a ball. It was like an onion dome construction on top
That's
of
right.
it.
Yeah, on top, that's right, yeah.
Look at these
Wow.
in the Islamic world of a lot in Turkey. A lot of the mosques and like the Hagia Sophia would have had this in antiquity, like these hanging balls with some fringes hanging from. Look at all the plaques here. And also the star.
Nice. It's
And
okay. So
they
yes,
have
see,
happy
this is
hats.
that floor as well, because that's a dome on top, isn't it? Oh, that's a carpet. No, it's a carpet. Okay. But this
Yeah.
is, remember I mentioned that's the internal domes this guy was talking about, and how, and that, what's interesting, that's hanging right down the middle of it, because he was saying sound goes up and then comes down. I wonder if that ball, if it comes down via that ball.
Yeah. Yeah. And what is exactly doing? Is this just a chain or is it something else? It's so many questions.
It is, yeah. In
Like,
in that video, he was talking about silk and some of the properties of it and how it was. Oh, I can't even remember what he was saying now, but he definitely mentioned silk. So I'm wondering, they might be silk tassels.
oh yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that could have all sorts of like technological purposes actually.
Yeah.
Look at this in the I think it's either the Barcelona exposition or it's the Brazilian Rio de Janeiro exposition. But
Oh gosh.
yeah,
Wow. And that one's actually, that looks like the ball is actually giving off light.
yeah, but
Actually
just look
sort
at
of,
the scale of this.
oh, I mean, it's ridiculous. Look at the size as well.
And they say this was
Wow.
built temporarily out
Yeah.
of like plasterwork and stuff, wood. It looks
I know.
weathered.
The best part about that story is they say they're all just, yeah, slapped up out of, with a facade on them. But if you look around the world, how many are still standing? They've got 5 or 6 at least that have been standing for over 100 years.
Yeah, indeed. That's a good point. Like the one in San Francisco, the Fine Palace of Arts, still
Yeah,
standing,
still standing.
full
Yeah.
full granite, full
Yep.
marmor, and they said that was the only one that they built from good materials.
Everything else just happened to look exactly the same.
Yeah. Okay. So I want you to notice these.
Yep.
They will
3
be coming
bars.
later.
Yep.
These constructions are seen under the starforts and around the starforts when they say that there's some sieges going on, but I cannot find out how they work within a siege. Like they just seem like I don't know what they are. So
So,
keep those in
what
mind.
underneath it? Did you say?
Yeah, sometimes I will see them like going underneath these points here. They will
Oh,
draw these in, and also like just outside. And I think the idea is that when you siege the Starfort, you build moats around it, like in World War trenches, and then you dig underneath the Starfort. Then you do this kind of construction underneath, and then you put like explosives in these, and
oh,
then you
that's
set
so
them off, and then you have like a chain explosive reaction that blows the wall. But my question is like, if you really will go through all of that hassle just to take out a Starfort wall, which would have been easier to take out if you had just had mortar from a distance hurling it, which we
Mm,
always see, like, and you can just surround the Starfort and starve it, as the Swedish king did in Germany in the 1600s.
yeah.
So why go through all the hassle of the so-called sapper technology, as they call it? Why
So,
have
yeah.
people like dig trenches for weeks around a Starfort to only just dig under it and blow it up? And like, it's so much work.
It is. Yeah.
Like think
It
about all the food you would need in that, and you would be exposed from the people inside that would be close to you while you're doing your work. Um, it just seems inane.
maybe it's part of the actual fort. I don't know.
Hmm I
Storage
think
or
these are part of the forts. I think they are part of some sort of technology, and we will see more of them
because the other
later.
thing that looks like is the papal. I mean, I know it's showing levels, but the three. It looks like the papal cross. That three. The cross with the 3 bits on it.
Yeah, yeah. I promised your audience I was going to show them that. Um, Thank you for jogging my memory here. Because if you want to know what they are, I can show you these triple crosses. It's
Yep.
very simple. It's actually extremely simple. So here's the Jesuit.
Yep. There it is. Yep.
There it is. So there's also other astronomical devices here. Pay attention, astronomical devices.
Okay. Yep. Okay. I think I know where you're going. Yep.
Except from comets, popular culture, the birth of modern cosmology. This is the Jacob staff, it's also called. The figure planets towards there, which was by this of the application. Conjunction. The conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter. And Archimedes both in his Jacob staff beholding.
Look at that. So it's just to
Yep.
give you different horizons in the sky when you're looking, so you can line things up, basically.
It may not only be that, it may also actually be a magnification device where you're looking through it.
Well, he does look like he's looking through it, doesn't he?
Yep, he is looking through it.
Right, he's looking through it too. Yeah.
There's a lot of old world art showing this. You can see like here closing the eye, or no, it's
Yeah.
going into the eye here, and here again. Also the fasces and the lance with a hat on it is a theme.
Yep, I've seen a few of those different hats, but I've seen a few of those.
So I made a
That's
meme here. Ancient telescope. The Hierophant's cross is a telescope.
nice.
Yeah,
Cross.
a lot of it.
That's well. There you go. I wonder how they worked. Because it just looks like something. Oh, actually, that does look a bit more antique.
Look at that. It looks like it has a little hat on it.
Like a lens, maybe.
Yep. Yeah.
And those side bits.
So this is where I wanted to.
Tuners.
You remember I mentioned the conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter?
Yes, yes.
Well, this is the Hierophant. The Hierophant. He is the spiritual powerhouse. Why does he hold temporal and spiritual power? Because he has this device. Why does he need this device? So he can have knowledge about the conjunction, which he's showing here. This is a sign of benediction, and in esoterica, these two fingers denote Saturn and Jupiter. Holding them up like this is signaling the conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter. And why would you need to have knowledge about that? Because it is definitive for human affairs. So this is how he keeps his power, by this device.
Now, that conjunction, that's the one that's coming up at the end of this year, is that correct?
Indeed. It's falling on the winter solstice, and and Jupiter, it's going to happen in Capricorn, which is Saturn's house. It's the only house where Jupiter is debilitated. So it's very unique, and Pluto is going to be there as well, which means that a lot of our subconscious fears are going to manifest during this time period. So if you don't program your subconscious in a good manner, until then, you're not preparing your subconscious for something good during that period. So that's why I've been looking at pictures of all sorts of wonderful things, because it's priming my subconscious for that event.
And it's interesting because, the sky, you look around this plane and everything's got to do with the sky, all the layouts of all the ancient structures and pyramids, it's just everywhere. It's all through the, theosophy books and religious books, and the sky this and the sky that, but they never tell us why it's so important, do they? It's just, it's just about stars and star signs. But clearly, do you think that conjunction is a precursor to something else happening? Because we have things like, the legend of the Blue Kachina and all these things, dragons in the sky.
What happened the last time that the conjunction happened? Then we had 9/11.
Yes.
It was right around 9/11 and that whole shift in consciousness. And what is very important about, they will do a very large ritual every time the conjunction is there to gain an advantage. This time they will have the sky and the stars against them, because Saturn is going to kick Jupiter in his butt, which means that the power structures are going to take a huge hit, and we're going to have the advantage. But if they install fear in us up until this event, it will diminish our chances of gaining more power during this time. And whatever happens during the conjunction is going to be definitive for the next 20 years until the next conjunction. That's why this period of time is extremely important for them. If they fuck up and they have all odds against them this time, we will have the next 20 years in our back.
To get rid of them. So yeah, take note of that, people. What's happening in the world at the moment?
Fear.
There's a lot of talk about, the currencies collapsing, gold being made illegal for tender in some countries. It's just fear. Especially this coronavirus. And the coronavirus, they're calling it a pandemic. And in the Western countries, I think it's under 20 people have actually died. So
yeah,
it's not a pandemic. It's just...
the common flu every year is a pandemic, technically.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Also, I think what's the recorded flu deaths this year? It's like up around 30,000.
Yep.
And the coronavirus
is a very mild-mannered flu. It's like saying, oh, there's this gang that's coming to kill you, right? There's this gang of bikers that are coming to kill you, and then when they come, they're actually, and no offense, they're actually like midget bikers.
On little P50s.
Yeah. No offense, we shouldn't, go around and kill each other. So of course, but Campbell, to get us a little bit back on the Starfort.
Yep.
I wanted to show this up here because it has Batar de I would read this as, which would be something of water, because this means water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think, and this is a metal sphere.
Yeah.
And if I can direct your attention to this, you'll see this Starfort is actually, it uses the corner points antennas to light it up, to power it.
Okay.
Also, take note that the gate is actually situated on the Starfort wall. So that just destroys the defense idea altogether also. Like, you would be able to breach this gate, and there would be dead zones here. Also, look at this guy.
Picture.
Look at this guy.
Oh, wow. Okay. He's a little tall, isn't he?
He's a little tall. Just look at this spectacle, though.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if he's come out of this Starfort and all these people are not from it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's just the idea about illumination is that whenever they do this, it's like a spectacle for people to behold. So it will go on for 30 minutes and people will stand and watch it like it was fireworks and say, "Aww," and then it will be over because then they don't have any more power to do whatever they're doing.
Oh,
So that is
yeah.
that is what they sell us, and they will only do this in like celebrations of something. But this looks like not a quite, like, it's not really a gathering to watch this. It really looks like.
No, it looks like people just milling around and talking to each other, doesn't it? I mean, I don't know. Are these horses? Is it military or? I don't know. It doesn't look aggressive. This guy just looks like he's walked out and he's kind of saying hello.
If this was really a military structure, do you think they would be like doing this?
Okay, guys, halt the fighting. Let's all look at the lights for half an hour, spread some brotherly love, and then we'll go back to killing each other.
Yeah. And I think this is actually the same Petersburg Citadel illuminated.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It says Petersburg, so it's one of the stars near there. And you see they're showing like an Indian type of Aryan with the feathers and a European.
Yeah.
I think this is a Tata.
Tata, yeah.
So that is
What are these
also
pictures? Do we know what are those pictures anything?
what?
The pictures on the walls, are they anything?
Yeah, I would think that they're showing outfits here.
No,
so
these ones you see on the Starfort, how we've got these. Is that just lights here and here? Oh, you probably can't see my cursor. See on the actual, yeah, on the walls, how there's those big bright bits.
Yep.
Are they pictures, do you think, or is it just light?
I think it's a good question. I think they're just light, and I think these are like the symbols with the, the military man with no head, and he has all the fasces and the flags and the spears behind him. I think that is this, and it's just lit up here.
Yep. Okay. Cool.
But it's not. The resolution is pretty bad. I have this picture I have it in a better resolution somewhere, but I just can't find it. This is on the little Danish island called Bornholm, situated off of the eastern Swedish coast, and in the main city Rønnehavn, it has a very interesting harbor, old world lighthouse with a ball. So yeah, I just wanted to show that, and it has like that rounded shape there. Yeah, it's just harbor constructions are awesome, and here this is a more type of illumination with the balls, and here there looks to be a giant again.
Oh yeah.
With a regular type man here. This could be a kid, I don't know.
Yep.
This is definitely a kid, but this looked like a little adult, and this is small. Yeah. And in this depiction, you can also see like a little waiter here or something. You see there's an obelisk in the middle, and there is like a central source that is emanating some sort of bright light, and the vicinity is lit up, and there are even like these metal balls here, and they light up. It's not just like a lantern.
And it's all hanging from the top of the obelisk, all these chains or whatever they are.
Notice these as well. These are screens with lights in them, so that wouldn't be that would be electricity, some sort of electricity.
Yep.
And also notice these here and these here.
Nice.
And you can see the lighting panels here.
Oh yeah, okay. They're all wow.
Really, really, this technology is actually, when we really like scrutinize it a bit, we can see that this is something we don't know what is.
No, and it definitely wouldn't be drawn like that if it wasn't emanating light or power or something.
If it was just candles, where's the smoke?
Yeah. Which is another thing, with all the temples and pyramids and all that, with all the glyphs and painting and artwork inside them, and you never find soot on the ceiling.
No, exactly. Look at this. This is like inside a huge cathedral.
Wow.
And there's like the central light source, so it's really lighting things up, because look at the long shadows.
Yeah.
This, I actually think, may be the altar or the organ doing this.
Okay.
And look at the level of this light would have been so intense and bright that people would have to turn away.
Yeah, I know. Look at these shadows. They're huge.
And it even looks like these people are turned away. It actually, like, when I look at this guy, right, they look to be ice skating.
Yeah, he's got his foot up. Even this guy looks like he's kind of, just cruising, like sliding with his arm out.
Yeah. These pictures just
be a nice skating rink. I mean, just look at the look of it too. Everyone's sort of on the outside, aren't they?
Yeah, like both of these are. If they're just walking, this would be like the Ministry of Silly Walks.
Yeah.
I've actually met John Cleese in real life.
Have you?
Yeah, while I was working in Radisson hotels, living under a pseudonym, and it was my first shift. I was just told by my colleague that there's this angry English guy up on the presidential suite, and we haven't been able to locate a cheese knife for this guy for the last 4 hours. It's really embarrassing. And he just wanted a cheese knife and a wine opener. So I found that and went up there and just expected a regular guest, and then opens Mr. Cleese. And I go, Mr. Cleese? And he's like, yes, have you found my cheese knife? And I'm like, yes, I have it right here.
Wow.
Yeah, so I opened his wine and talked for a bit with him, and
he was... Chat?
Yeah, but then I learned that he was on Epstein's Island later on, and I was like, duh.
He was on what?
He was on Epstein's Island.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Bloody hell! Because some of their early stuff, like Flying Circus, they get right into religion and society and money and everything.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think I've done screen sharing now. This was the last one with the ball here, and an antenna on top of the ball, and electricity.
Ah, electricity.
And also they're showing buoys here. They're showing buoys in the same... so this is a buoy. So they had electrical buoys. And here they're showing wiring, and there's a scouting light from boats.
So water, like we call them buoys, like B-U-O-Y, yeah, boy.
Yeah. Sorry, it may be my pronunciation.
But so floating in the water, with its antenna.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you can see the flag here is a metal flag.
Because it's not waving,
Yeah. So that was it. So you can take us back to the screen share.
All right, how do I do this?
You just press screen share again. It will override mine.
Oh, what happened there? Gosh, no, that's not it. God, what am I doing?
I'll take my screen share off then. Maybe we'll go back to yours. And
no, that wasn't it.
So it's like the two boxes.
Share screen. All right.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, now where's my screen? There it is. Okay, let me know when you can see that.
Not quite yet. No. Why isn't it coming up?
All right, let me have a look. Oh, did I not push the button?
There it was. Excellent.
Hiding. Oh, okay, that's just the biggest shot of that one, is it? All right, look at that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This was the
The garden.
the forts I was talking about. Look,
Yeah,
they're building a starfort, and within the starfort are trees and gardens. So how is this a military structure exactly?
exactly right. Wow, it's quite big too. That's a big building. But fountains,
Yeah,
orchards out here.
it looks to me that this is geomancy.
Yep, yep. So basically using energy to grow better crops, grow better food, probably even energize water.
Yes, yes, this is what I'm thinking. And probably the starfort is built by limestone or some other conductive stone type, so as to work like a grander or the grander technology of water, where you put frequency into the water to structure it better.
Yep, yep.
I kind of feel like that some of these stones could be emanating some low level frequency that may do that on the level. Yeah.
And just looking at that, like just looking and seeing how they're surrounded in water. Like, have you seen where they get they even do it with rice, I think, and water, and they stick words to the bottle,
Yep.
like love and hate, and it makes the water or the rice go, bad or good.
Yep.
I wonder if these are frequency shapes. I wonder if that's the
Oh.
frequency, that's so putting that with the water around it is like sticking that shape on a bottle, if you know what I mean.
Ah. Yeah. Like this could be like a symbol of love,
Yeah,
like on a
yeah, yeah,
frequency
yeah.
level. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And so that symbol is energizing everything in there to that frequency.
Wow. That's such a good idea, because that ties in with like the subtle paradise lost type of technology we're looking for.
Mm,
People are not looking for war in that period. They're looking for how to increase produce and have a better life, and
yeah,
using
increase
nature
health.
and using the creator to in order to power that all naturally, right? I
All
think this
naturally, yeah.
chimes more with with our idea of what we have lost.
Well, and this is the thing. I mean, and like you did say, it was, um, more. I think this technology was more subtle and simple than a lot of people, are sort of thinking it. I think it's a lot more working with energies that are there and just sort of absorbing them rather than it was a massively technological society. I think they were just a lot more in tune and they knew how to use natural earth energies to, power lights, to grow food, to even out, the energy of the earth. So even to stop aggression and wars and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's like that sentence you said. It's more subtle and more simple than people like to imagine.
Mm.
Look at that round shape. It looks like, when you zoom in on it, it looks like a cell, a eukaryote.
Oh, wow. Yeah, right. Doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The central, we've even got a nucleus gosh, no, is that no, cytoplasm's this stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Gosh.
yeah. Like for those types of bacteria, it would be a plasmid, I think
Yeah,
they're called. Yeah, they have like these coils of rings that are
yeah.
their DNA.
Ribosomes and yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that definitely looked like some sort
That
of animal
definitely
cell.
it does, especially with this circle there.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So that's also why I related when you look at the street pattern here, right? They're all crooked, and I like to think that this is a natural crit pattern in some sort of way. It's emulating some sort of biology.
Mm. Well, even the biology of the planet. Like if you look into like brain, um, how the brain works with neuron connectors. The more you use, the more you think a thought, the stronger that neuron connection gets, and the easier it is for information to flow down that street, or if for want of a better word. So maybe these are just the natural flows, where it flows naturally. So they just, imprinting on top. So it just keeps the energy flowing rather than, if this was an energy flow, I guess, and you put streets in the wrong spot, it would kind of stop it.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. Yeah. So you can take the next one. It's also exciting for me because I don't know what's gonna turn up. So yeah, this is another geomancy fort, it would seem, in a way. But when you look at it, look at the bastions, how mega they are, and also look at the street patterns and the mega spire.
That thing, yeah.
Also notice the cannon on that. Look at the size of the cannon.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's huge.
And what is the cannon exactly doing in that picture?
It looks like it's firing.
Yeah, but where's the ball, and why is there coming like steam out of it?
That's a good point.
You're gonna see that in a lot of the
Because
pictures.
it looks more like like a puff of smoke or steam rather than like an outward kind of shot, doesn't it?
Indeed. So if you go
there.
Yeah, you can see, like, why would you do that if you're really worried about protecting your city? Wouldn't you have created like a better entrance?
I know, you go to all this work to build these huge walls, and we'll just put a door there so everyone can just walk in.
Also, another point is, if you make the bastions to have people cramp at the walls so you can mow them down from atop, why would you make moats in the places where you're supposed to capture these people?
Exactly, yeah.
Why would you create water for them to not go close to the wall where you have the supposed advantage?
That's a good point. And on that kind of, this whole thing about, dead zones and cannons and stuff. I mean, because we pretty much know, I'm pretty sure every Starfort had some kind of, apart from the ones on mountaintops, had some kind of moat. And that just pretty much, like you said, destroys these dead zone theories, doesn't it? Because people wouldn't be able to get there.
Yeah, but also just notice the symmetry of this one. And the only thing that destroys the symmetry, right, is the cathedral.
Yeah, it's off center.
Yep. Why would they do that?
It's interesting.
It's weird, right?
It's normally in the middle.
I would. There's my OCD. It's wanting to place this cathedral in the middle. Yeah.
And there's these also, look, around here we've got this outlying ring as well.
Yeah, at least of cities with spires, each and every one of them. Just imagine, like, just how many religious buildings you needed for, like, how the level of religion.
Yeah. This is you still see it in cities today. Like, you go in and there's all these churches. They all look the same, but I think that's why we have so many different sects of Catholicism and stuff. You have the Catholics and the Church of England and the Protestants and all this, and it's so they could say that's why we needed this many churches, because there's 8 different religions here, and if they all go, they'll kill each other. So they all built their own church, and it's like, well, really?
Oh,
they all built their own churches to look exactly the same.
Create more denominations for people to claim their own church, and for them to say that they have built that. Yeah, it's a good point.
It's how they explain it away.
Okay, so this is La Tour d'Ordre. I would think it would be pronounced as I think it was close to Old Orleans in France, and it's again the same type of deal. This is like a pagoda within a star citadel.
Yep.
What do you need the fortification for there exactly?
Exactly right. I mean, this is your fortification here, this tower, isn't it? Who's going to scale that? Just sit up there and drop rocks on people.
Right. Also, this tower is smashed. This structure does not exist anymore.
Okay. It looks like the top here has already had a bit of damage. in this
Yeah,
picture.
but what I really liked about this picture is that this is in France and it looks nothing like French.
Yeah.
It looks older, more rustique in a way, and it's a pagoda. So
Yeah,
that would,
exactly.
yeah, so it would have those Asian connotations. I would think this is
And
the evidence of the Eastern presence in old Europe, in a way.
all right, it begs a question. Two of those roofs that we see coming out of the pagodas, are they just, you know,
It's
afterthoughts
some
to
sort of
change the look
it's
in the
some sort of
facade? Or?
yeah. I think like Martin Liedtke has a good idea about it. It's like some sort of stacking principle to amplify energy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we don't quite know, do we? We have a
No,
lot
well,
of we have better ideas and worse ideas about it, I guess.
yeah. Well, I mean, we've been taught to look at it completely the wrong way, you know, as far as energy and all this kind of stuff. So we've got to kind of re-educate ourselves, I guess, on how it actually does work.
Yeah, man. True.
Because you know the truth is simple, right? And all they
Yeah,
give us is these people, and they just try and make things as complicated as possible, and then they think they're really smart for doing it.
indeed. I want you to notice the garden here.
Yeah.
You see that citadel in the garden?
This, yeah.
Yeah. That is kind of like what you would have as a citadel in a city. And here it is in another garden with
Mm,
trees in it.
it is. Well, it looks like what is it? Hexagon shape, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And just
So,
trees, and then and that's obviously in the wall in the fort, and then we have this huge wall here.
yeah.
I
And
mean,
that,
why would you?
look at those buttresses. They're not evenly spaced.
No, and they're not evenly high. The height as well is all different.
Yeah, that is quite weird.
It's very weird because look how symmetrical these are. It's obviously drawn the way that it was. And look
Yeah.
here, we have a tunnel underneath and stairs up to the.
And look at those massive chimneys as if they're giant smokestack pillars.
This?
Just no, behind the tunnel. Just by the tunnel
Oh,
on
okay.
the side of the
Oh, yeah.
building.
Oh, wow. They're chimneys. Yeah, right. Oh, okay. There's a bit of smoke even or something coming out of one.
Yeah, that's a large chimney.
That's
What?
and why would you just have three? What do they just want this part of? They don't care about heating this. They just want to heat this little bit.
Well, it looks like the other bit is
Yeah.
destroyed.
Is this?
There's a ruin there. So
Yeah, it's a
why
ruin.
is there a
Yeah,
ruin?
yeah. It's all
Yeah,
broken down, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. It's hard to actually look at this picture and say what is truly going on here.
God, it's a weird one, isn't it?
I know this. That's why I call them anomalies.
Anomalous. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? The Chateau Nive La Rivière de Loire. So what's that? Probably
So
French.
so the new chateau over the Loire River,
Oh, okay.
Riviera. Yeah.
And up here we have a little shield
Free
with
fleur de lis, I think.
three fleur-de-lis. Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's basically what I have to say about this one.
It's, yeah. You could spend hours on it, couldn't you? But what do
Oh,
we do?
this is crucial.
Oh,
If you
oh,
zoom in a bit on the marked, the yeah, oh, a bit out. Okay, so I'll just this is about the mound builders in America.
who
So
built
they're
that?
saying who built the mounds, and they're saying like certainly the North American Indians. The Indians have
Certainly.
ever been a lazy rowing race, they say. But they're saying like the mysterious people who built the mounds were not a race of rovers. An infinitely long time must have been required for erecting each of these mount shapes. So they say here where I marked it out, nor were they ignorant savages, for the mount showed deep knowledge of geometry, as well as of astronomy and of the principles of building. Okay, so this is the important part. Carefully laid out military fortifications abound in the mound builders' country, indicating that the Aborigines had martial lore and an engineering skill and that they understood many modern principles of attack and defense. So because they think fortifications means
War.
martial law, they're actually saying that the fortification found in America are not colonial here. They're saying they were built by the Mound Builders.
Nice. So that, yeah, they're saying it wasn't built by the Spanish
Yeah.
when they turned up. That's Graham Hancock goes into his new book, America Before. He goes quite a bit into the mounds, and he basically they're everywhere over South and North America and all through the Amazon.
But also in Denmark, it's what we call Viking settlements.
Well, I was going to say the same as England.
Yeah.
Like Glastonbury and all
Ireland.
those places, and Ireland, they're everywhere, exactly.
North Africa, dolmens everywhere. Dolmens in Russia, labyrinths in Russia and Greece and Turkey and North Africa and all of Europe, even the Baltics, and also all the small Eastern Pacific islands. It's like, what do you want? It's like
Yeah, come on, your story's falling apart. And another thing about the henges is there's two types of henges. I can't remember what the second one is, but a henge is the circle mound with a moat on the outside.
Oh, yeah.
But there's another kind where they put the moat on the inside.
Yep.
How would that work if it's a fort? What? What?
Yeah, it makes no... obviously, the water is doing something for them.
Obviously, the water's... Yeah. But and quite obviously, you wouldn't do that if it was for anything to do with military, because you'd just trap yourself in there.
Yeah.
So okay, so mound builders weren't built by the Indians; they were built by
whoever the mound builders were.
The mound builders, whoever they were probably giants.
Yeah, so this is I think this is very close to us being able to say, so this ancient antique people built the fortifications. They're very ancient and they may be Tartarian.
Yep. Definitely.
And
yeah.
Yeah. But to me this is just extraordinary, because what gives it away as Starforts they're talking about is they're calling them military fortifications.
Yep.
Yeah. That is what gives them away.
Yeah, exactly. There's no way, especially the ones with the doors in them and things. But
and if you really think about it, if those military fortifications are mound builders, right? When you look at the symbols on those forts in the U.S., they share the same symbolism as we see in the old cities of Europe. On the little portals they have on the Starforts and small little pillars, and so that would mean that the mound builders are actually very close to the common antiquity we see around the world, like Roman, Egyptian, right?
Yeah.
That's what they call them. So that would mean that the mound builders are not these cave dwellers. It would mean that they are just like you're just looking at Atlantis, brothers and sisters.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is what was going on, hey? What we're still trying to find out.
Yeah. Mound builders and pyramid builders. It's the same. And Starfort builders. And lighthouse builders.
And then are they going to be the same as these cathedrals and the Greco-Roman structures and everything?
Of course.
Because it's all the same. I mean, you couldn't get a Starfort from America and one from Denmark and say that they're different. They're so the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, like even the 5-pointers, they have 5-pointers in US as we have them in everywhere. With the same type of bastion formation. Yeah, and they even use the exact same type of batteries everywhere.
Yeah, I was thinking battery, but yeah, battery forts, yeah. Military batteries, yeah.
And as my 13th monkey will show you, like in the ring cities, they have this specific type of elongated rectangular fort that are satellite forts around the ring cities. And he will show you that these satellite forts have the exact same shape and dimension everywhere in the world.
Wow. Dimensions? Wow, really?
Well, maybe not dimension, but the exact same shape. But I remember, I think it was Montreal or one of the Canadian cities has a ring around it with these structures, and so does one of the French ones, and it's exactly the same, identical.
Yeah.
But people will say, oh yeah, that's the French presence in Canada. Oh, well, yeah. They cannot
Yeah.
prove that. It's like
No,
they just
I mean,
assume the colonial stories, but when you really look into them, it's like, can you find an exact witness testimony in history where someone has witnessed colonials building Starforts in the middle of nowhere for the protection of what exactly?
exactly. Yeah, for what? Because I mean, if that was true, you would see all these forts along the borders, wouldn't you? Where the wars were happening.
Sometimes you do have that, but like I would say that the wars were not really wars. They were like repurposing missions for engineers, and they called them wars and enacted them and took photos whilst they were doing it. But what they were really doing was cataloging and destroying what needed to be destroyed, and they created maps for later intelligence of it, and then they called these military maps and drew in all the military things on them.
On the top.
And yeah, and sold it to the
Mhm.
populace as military history. When it was really a cataloging reconnaissance mission where they're going out and seeing what is there and what are we going to do with it.
Mm.
Yeah,
Which ties in with the, the age of exploration, doesn't it? Because when you look into that, it's
gold
like,
rush. Yes.
yeah, it's not like they were just going, oh, let's just put boats in the water and go sailing around just in case there's something out. These guys were they knew there was something out there and they went out looking for it, for Australia, for America. And yeah, then they just, like you said, got there and to see what was left and catalogued it all. And
Yeah, indeed, man. Well, let's get to the next one.
that's the next one.
This is if you remember, I talked about like the Starforts were perhaps able to communicate with these underground
Oh,
siphoning systems,
yeah.
tubes, and what. I think this is why we see the word communication so much on these pictures. And if you go through some of the next ones, we will see it some more. I think. Yeah.
Communication, enemies, does it? And this
Uh,
is above
yeah,
these triangles, isn't it? So no
and you see the
triangles.
water and you see the black line. Um, you can see like there's both water
Yeah.
there and something
Okay, so
else.
this is water. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if they can fly.
And what is interesting about these readout points is that they remind Philip of pressure valve points you would have on a gas pipeline, for instance. You would have
Ah,
these
okay.
small little
Yeah.
sections on a gas pipeline to control the pressure.
And you can even see this first one's even bigger.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Might be something to that, yes.
So that's where like the main inflow's coming, isn't it, of the water? So you would expect it would be bigger.
Yeah. I think engineers could really figure this out if they would accept the premise that this is not military, but some sort of technology.
Yeah, I know. I know. We need
Yeah.
someone. Need a savant or something to get into it.
So
Wow, look at
this,
that.
yeah, this is actually a structure that is found on the Bahamas.
And this is water, yeah, that comes in and goes around here.
There is an identical fort on the one of the no, not the Bahamas, the Bermuda Islands.
Okay, yeah.
Mike can show you it. So this structure does indeed exist. And you can see it has like two central towers,
Yeah.
and they look to be able to rotate like gears.
Mm. And they
Some
look
of
different too. This one's more, I don't know, cog-like and
no, I think that just showing different
oh, different. Okay, like a
plans.
cutaway. Okay, yep, gotcha.
Yeah,
Cutaway. Yep.
they're identical, I would think.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we can see these. Yeah,
Yeah, one is a side view and one is an outside.
the outside. Yep.
Yeah. So if you go to the next one,
What is that?
that is another of those weird geomancy
Yeah, we've got
starports.
nice big gardens up here.
Yep.
Is that a garden in the middle of this lake? That's pretty. Is that a boat?
And also look where we are at. This looks to be, it could be in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
So could this be
Yeah,
like
okay, 'cause that's
a
water
way
there.
to actually be able to have a very good produce in the middle of the ocean, build a Starfort out there somehow, and then when you have that, or could there be such a thing as floating Starforts,
Floating
like
stuff.
on barges, mega barges or something?
Well,
Like
was it the Incas that used to make floating islands? And I think they did it in Africa as well. There's a lake, and it's covered in quite big. I mean, they're not star forts or masonry, but yeah, big floating islands that they used to make.
yeah, both the Incas and the North Africans or the Ethiopians and Egyptians supposedly built floating islands or artificial islands and massive irrigation systems, which would have included canals and the like. And canal
Yeah,
builders are very much Starfort builders as well. The
exactly.
whole of France is built is full of very straight and narrow canals, especially in the northern Rhinelands. And they say that these were built and dug by the French in the 1800s with horses and men plowing day out and day in, and it's just crazy.
It is, and there's so many more cities around the world, like Venice that we're actually told of. Like, if you look into cities that are built on canals, there's a lot of them out there, especially in Europe.
Right.
But they
Zoom
tell us no, it's
zoom
only
in on the if you can zoom in on those red lines that connect the forts, you can see that there is a fortification line running towards it, from the city to the redoubt. You can see there's like a line.
this one.
Yeah.
Oh, yep, yep.
So why is there a line connecting and it's going over a valley and it's going straight through a mountain? It's going straight through a mountain.
This, yeah.
Yeah. It goes over a valley there, straight through a mountain.
Oh, there, yeah, okay, I see what you mean. Just, and then is this part of it too? What's
I
that?
don't know. It's like, but why is the line going through the mountain? Is
Through
it
the
a
mountain.
tunnel? I would say
There's
this
actually a
indicates
path up here
it's a
too.
tunnel that's. I would say this indicates it's a tunnel going under the topography, not over it.
Yeah, well, it almost looks like there is. I don't know. It's hard to see, isn't it? But
Hard to see, but it pops out on the other side.
what's that in a different picture or on the other side of
No,
in
no,
this
you
one?
can see on the other side of the mountain here.
Oh,
If you
yeah,
go
yeah,
up in the
it does. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. And that's completely. Yeah, it's not on top. It's underneath.
yeah, and I would think the reason why there's a citadel placed on top of that is because it goes straight down to that tunnel
Yeah.
on
Okay.
top of it. So why would you have fortification triangles on a tunnel? Well, as Philip has pointed out, this may be a gas pipeline, and it would need pressure valve points on it to control the pressure or regulate it.
Yeah, as in these.
Because these are definitely not that, like, we can deduce or we can argue for that they are not overground because they're going over a valley. They're going over that little road there. You can see they're going under that road. No,
Yeah.
yeah, no, there it seems to go over. But if you
Oh,
go
oh,
back,
what did I do?
to the city, you can see there's a little road and it seems to go under that road, the line. You see that just above that? Just go a
That's
little
it.
above. Yeah, it goes under right there.
Oh,
There's
oh,
a
there.
little road.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you
Yeah.
mean. Yeah, it's definitely cut. Yeah.
So to me, this looks like it's going underground. This line connecting the citadel down there with
Okay.
something.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
they're
so
just
it's a
it's so they're just representing it basically, but it's all
and you
under
can see it says communication right there. Communication.
applications. And down here it's got these all seem to be connecting to something. What's that? Just ABCD, is it?
Well, this would indicate some sort of canon line of sight, I think, for them.
So
But it
Morrison.
doesn't necessarily mean that.
Yeah. Yeah, they
It
always
doesn't
tell
necessarily mean that. And imagine what type of cannon could actually have a reach up to that mountain or hill is really far away.
Yeah, and uphill.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Doesn't make sense at all,
But
right?
some would say that maybe it's the Citadel's line of sight to the city. But why would you build a Starfort to siege a Starfort? It seems like a little bit too much.
And this is the thing, like, how long would it take to build one of these star forts? Because they kind of say, oh yeah, they were having a war, so they built a star fort. I mean, you don't just throw these up in a week, do you? These things would take, a long time, especially if there's bits going underneath and, all the antiquity stuff. I mean, they take years to build.
Right,
So,
indeed.
so you'd be dead. You'd be dead. Your enemy would attack. It's a bit of a silly story.
Yeah, indeed. Oh, you can take the next one. I don't know what it's gonna be. It's so exciting. Oh, this is the if you zoom in on the coastline, this is a large canal. You can see there's a canal running through the coastline. It's very, very long, and it's very wide, and it's definitely Starforty. It has small little readouts or pressure valves on it. Yep. So it's in Russia. I think it's well, I can't remember exactly where it is. Mike will know where this is. He has it mapped on our map. But here you can see, yeah, how large that canal is. And see, in the middle of the canal, there's like a little trench.
There.
Yeah. And why do you need that formation around the canal with all those like lines and Starfort-like structures?
Yeah, all the different heights and things like this. I mean, look at that. It's on both sides.
Yeah. And you have trees on there, like as if they're doing something.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just a lot of this we just don't know.
No, I mean, and I mean, it begs a question too. I mean, are these all actually, I mean, that's a canal, but like the last one, is a lot of this stuff underground. And when we're seeing maps and we can't find the walls, is that stuff that's underground maybe?
Yeah, good question, man.
Because a lot of these maps you can find bits, but then you're just missing walls and it's like, nice.
Yeah.
All right. What we got here?
So this, I think, yeah, is some sort of system of transportation with a canal. As you can see, it's kind of the same deal. Pay attention to the line that is has those dots on it.
Yep, all around here.
Yeah, it's connecting what I know to be Starfort. Russia Fort is a Starfort, and Saint Anuli. Those cities on there are Starforts. They're just not shown to be Starforts here.
All
And
right.
they're connected with some sort of canal system that has these dots on both sides. So you can really see them when you zoom in.
It's actually not pretty good picture, this one. Yeah. Oh, so yeah, you can see that's got width to it, and then these are on each side, and they go straight through the forts by the looks of it.
Yeah. So what are those? Are they? I would think canal systems with either trees on both sides or pressure points, like small readouts.
Yeah. See, there was something that looked like this on that. I've got a map from 1450 from Africa, or actually it's Europe and Africa, and it had stuff that looked look. And I was asking, I thought it was like a trail or a road with trees. I thought, do you reckon that's trees? But I'm wondering, if there was something.
Well, if you go into the right side of the picture, you will see there are some categories for us to consider.
These?
Yeah, if you zoom out a bit, there may be the pattern that we're requesting on there, somewhere down there, perhaps.
Down here, yeah.
In the bottom of the picture. No, it doesn't seem like it actually. I don't know actually what they're showing us right here.
Yeah.
Like all sorts of pottery and weird stuff. Topography.
Yeah, this almost looks like different kind of construction photos like that. Looks like the start, and it turned into that maybe. Different types.
Yeah, it looks like
soil. Looks like there's two different types of soil used. Like, so, for different.
If
What's that?
someone can read French, they have the chance here to help out.
Yes, yes. If you can read French, let us know. We'll send you the pics.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is French. Yeah.
It is, yeah. Nice.
It's from Gallica, yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, there's so much information, and people don't just go to all this effort for no reason. This means something.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely. This is the thing you see down out there in the water is a submerged old harbor.
this?
No, those faint constructions there, those are submerged harbors of antiquity, very old. You can see I think it was the information to this picture where I found it. It said that those yellowish structures are submerged and destroyed.
Okay.
Those.
Oh, so that's why this is half on the land and half in the water.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you pay attention to the bottom one, you'll see it has a bastion on it. So this would indicate a much older people building starforts than the ones that are white and there today.
Yes.
Yeah. And it would indicate a cataclysm since they're submerged.
Submerged.
Yeah.
So yeah, who built? That's the question. Are these part of the original structure, or were they like an attempt to restart them or something at some point?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that is what this one shows. That is Steel Castle. I think many know this one. And it has what looks to us like gearworks. Like the central point reminds us of a lot of what we have seen today with the round pits, and looks like it would be able to rotate back in the past. So that is what we're, yeah.
You get a lot of this kind of stuff, I guess steampunk and that, but in cartoons and that, if they've always got machines that look like this with cogs everywhere, and don't they?
Yeah, they do. They do. So if you yeah, this is another geomancy thing. This is really weird. So look at the central fort up there. That is a starfort.
Yep.
But it is completely useless as a defense, and is in a garden. And it's set up to be like a fireworks pavilion or something.
Yeah, like this top bit.
Yeah, so it's really weird. Why would you do that? And also look at the garden, the picture to the right of that. You can see starfort formations in levels
Down here,
in the park.
And even just down there, yeah.
So what is up with that? This is an amphitheater.
Amphitheater.
And if you go down a
and then look at that. Look at this.
You see like this mountain they build out of stone, like artificial mountains. Yeah. So a lot of it looks to me like geomancy. Has a lot of what we're looking for with the starforts to answer that.
Yeah, well, we see it everywhere today, don't we? All the capitals have got them, and I'm sure it's everywhere if you look hard enough.
Yeah, indeed, man.
But probably just remnants. I mean, I think John Levi's done some videos where he sort of shows that there's all these lines in the ground, and a lot of stuff has just been built on top, just following those lines.
Yeah. Pay attention to the tower down there. The cannons.
Wow. Yeah.
Like they're pretty dang hard to hit a target with when you're like pointing them down.
They are.
And also pretty hard to fire.
But mate, even so, like just with that square, imagine. I mean, you don't have much scope to move it, and to I mean, this cannon here wouldn't be able to move much apart from straight ahead, would it?
Yeah, the logical thing to do if you really wanted to defend this is to have them at sea level and have a straight line of sight outwardly.
Yeah, and have more room to maneuver them, so you can move them, and change the angles that you're firing at.
Indeed.
Because, yeah, like you said, that's a bit ridiculous.
A thing I have wondered whether if these actually were able to rotate, one way you could get one to rotate is use these cannons not to fire balls, but perhaps to exhaust some sort of steam And
Oh,
then you could control you could start a direction of flow speed, and then you could control the cannons to gain speed or to slow speed of rotation.
yep. So like this one here, you see how it's pointing on an angle downwards like that.
Yeah.
So if they were all pointing that way, then yeah, you couldn't get it to rotate this way.
And we will see that perhaps a bit later with the rotating fort, where they are describing a turning fort and it has cannons on it.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, this is an
Eastbourne.
Eastbourne. Okay.
Yep,
Yeah.
same kind of thing.
Really part of the same tradition of
Mhm.
construction. This is also the Starfort builders' work.
Definitely, but obviously for a different function.
Yeah, you can see here that cogwheel down in the left reminds
This,
me of what we just saw.
yeah, but just on the ground.
And look at the inside of that tower. Yeah, on the ground. Yeah, and it has a hexagon in the middle also. And that one is a central tower with like 8 stories or something, maybe 6, 7. It goes into the earth.
Into the earth again, like that first one.
Yeah.
And the same on this side, we got that canal.
Yeah.
Is there one here? Oh, yeah, there's one there too, by the looks of it. Wow, so what's that depicting, I wonder? That
Depicting the tower from up top, I would think.
just looking down, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I mean, that just looks
those...
so machine-like, doesn't it? And this got the dome on the top, and then inside we've got this internal dome that you see a lot in the old pictures of domes and that, so...
Yeah, and if you zoom in on the cogwheel, like really zoom in on it, look at the small little bits on the bastion points. There are some of those small little bits that if they were for cannons to shoot outwardly, you would hit your own structure and with some of them.
Yeah, but I mean, then you can't get out at all on this side, unless that's a cross section, probably, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a
But I
cross
mean, just
section again.
trying to maneuver.
Take the one down in the bottom. That one right there, above your.
This one.
If that was to shoot outwardly, no, not that. Just below that.
This one.
No, between those 2 points. Like in the wall, inside the wall, there are these firing holes. It would look like.
Yeah, these here and here.
No,
Yeah.
in the central walls. Like
these ones you mean? Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
So if you go down there again and take
here.
that one,
yeah, right.
that would shoot straight into your own structure.
Yep. And this one here.
Yep.
This one here.
So they're definitely not for cannons.
No, it's looks like they're just some kind of capacitor, different materials with different resistances or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And here you have like a up close view of one of the central structures. Just look at that. Just like the brickwork and the giant large stones in the archway there.
Yeah. And just all these symmetrical holes everywhere.
Yeah, it's extraordinary.
I mean, that's very machine-like, isn't it?
It is. It really is. And these just continue,
It's
just like with
which is pretty much the same. So there's obviously, these are all different forts. So there's obviously quite a few of these around at one point.
Yeah.
And they're just all the same, aren't they?
Yeah, Deal Castle reminds me of these.
So look, these are and that's that's a chevron, really, isn't it? When you look at it.
Yeah, chevron.
Same shapes that we see on the stars. It's bizarre.
Yeah. It is.
Oh, that's a nice one. Yeah, right.
Yeah. We actually have we have found that fort somewhere. It sits inside of a citadel. This formation somewhere. Mike will have the the ID on that one.
Nice. That'd be
He
good
has
to see.
a good memory with those. But it is somewhere out there, this type of fort.
It's almost like directed energy too, that one, isn't it? Sort of directing up to this point.
Yeah, and it's like it's one of the only free pointers. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a
You don't
yeah.
see them. They're pretty rare. You don't see a lot of them.
Nope, that's true.
Oh my
And
God.
this one is
City.
amazing.
What the hell is that?
It's just so large. It's like above 10 stories.
Yeah, it's massive.
Massive, yeah. And the
And it's
stones
just, yeah, at the
in the
front here, look at the
foundation.
size of them.
Huh.
And just filled with, what we're used to, arches, domes, symmetry.
Also, look how this looks super futuristic.
Mm,
Looks like 1950s or something. 1950s.
it does,
40s.
yeah.
Yeah,
What's that, like Art Deco kind of stuff.
yeah. And this is back in the 1700s. This book is from, and they are probably depicting something back then that was further back in the past also.
We've also got these two bits of smoke coming out.
Yeah, some sort of steam, perhaps, steam thing going on with this structure. Some sort of factory or foundry or.
Definitely looks like some kind of factory. I mean, and we've got to remember that there's got to be a place or places where they made all the bricks. Where all the bricks come from?
Maybe they were actually built in the Starforts, I've considered.
Exactly. That's what. Yeah, I've considered that too.
Like as mines, they're making mud bricks below ground or something. Yeah.
Mm.
And look at that Starfort though. It's
That's
just
a nice one.
looks super futuristic.
It does.
And there's a lot of these futuristic. This would remind me of the ring around Bucharest.
Yep.
Apart from the central Starfort, because Bucharest does not have what seems to be a central Starfort within it.
No, that looks like Pamplona, doesn't it? That one.
Yeah, it does. In Italy, or Palmanova.
Is that what it's called, Pamplona?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's a very symmetrical, large fort. Yeah.
Yeah, nice 8-pointer. Yeah. Oh, another 3-pointer. Is that the same one?
No, this is in France, the island of AIX. I don't know how to. If you go down to the text, you can see plan du fort. The something AIX.
Yeah, I don't know how they say that.
Yeah, so this is the type of fort, and it even looks like a little bird.
It does.
Looks like an eagle or something.
Spreading its wings. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That symbology's got something to do with it. Gosh. Oh.
Yeah, it's a very pretty one, and this is like a large round fort.
It looks like
a foundry.
Yeah, like a sports stadium, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, right, like a stadium, like exactly.
Big round sports stadium, yeah.
It also reminds me of the structures that are called panopticons.
It's called
prisons.
What?
Panopticons with like a central hub that can view everything.
Oh, those, yeah, the unescapable kind of prisons, yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, right. Jeez, I wonder who got put in that. Oh, wow, look at that one. It's another fort.
Yeah, those are the battery types.
Yeah, it's interesting how it's showing different levels. See, it's got this outline here, which matches this. And then on the inside,
it could be above ground and below ground, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. It stops that half bit there, stops there. Oh, interesting.
Very much. Oh, yeah, with the central tower.
Oh, okay. I didn't even notice that. Yeah, right. Gee, that's a good star, isn't it? So these are probably all trying to show us it was cannon fire. Look, you could shoot there, you could shoot there, you could shoot there.
Yeah, but could it also be something else, like some sort of energy?
Well, I mean, if you look at, if each of these points is directing energy, I mean, you would get that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but it could also be perhaps some sort of angles, like showing like angles from the Starfort dead zones or some sort of things that they
Yeah.
added over it.
Yeah, well, it definitely, doesn't look like it's necessarily part of the original, does it?
No.
But yeah, no, they do that a lot just to try and tell us that we're
Yeah, so they can
evil,
use
warlike creatures.
if they can use the truth to their advantage by adding something or augmenting it a bit, they will rather do that, I think.
Yeah, I agree, yeah. And
Yeah.
just change it a bit, change the reality. It's
Yeah,
like in
and make it suit.
1984 where he used to work at that was his job, wasn't it? He used to have to go in and change history every day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically what they've been doing, and they're probably doing it live. Oh, look at that tower there, and must be like 12 or 13 or 14 stories.
That's huge. I mean, look at this
Yeah.
building here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and domes on the top. That's huge. And look, it's
Yeah.
just empty inside.
And the bottom one, like
That's
the scale of that.
huge, isn't it?
Our ancients, the ancient people were definitely much above us in construction level, just like the
Definitely in
scales thing.
construction, yeah, in scales, and their stuff's still hanging around. The stuff we build doesn't last long at all.
Yeah. Oh, another of those large towers.
It's another, yeah, more
Wonder what
cogs.
they did with those.
Yeah, this looks like the first one. It just looks, I don't know. This looks magnetic to me. I mean, you see these in motors and electric motors
Yeah,
and coils, and it looks exactly the same.
yeah, an electromagnetic motor.
Even this looks like it could be, positive, negative, and I don't know.
Yeah, like a ring mat.
Yeah, like a ring magnet. Yeah, with different polarities, and it's just
Well,
bizarre.
that is it's definitely all of this is just piquing my interest all the time. Can't wait
Just
for someone to really prove something in our field about these structures would be awesome.
yeah, definitely. I think this is worth a lot more investigation. Because, like I say, if we can, use these as proof that what we're being told now is not true, then fine. I mean, because this is ridiculous. I mean, I'd love to hear the story they came up with for this.
Yeah, I think they will say that this book is some like artistic
Yeah,
fantasy for it. Yeah.
I think
But
so.
as you can see, some of these fantasy forts are found out there, as like the French one in Ike's.
Yep. And what'd you say, Bermuda as well?
Yeah, Bermuda had one of them as
And
well, and I've definitely seen this structure out there as also these types.
I've never seen that one before, but that also is like a bird, isn't it? With the sort of head here, wings,
Yeah, definitely.
with
Yeah,
a big
yeah,
tail coming off it. But I mean, if these were just fantasy, you wouldn't put all schematics and lines and all this kind of stuff in it, would you? Really?
yeah. And this is also a concrete fort. You can see that on the in the top left. It's Fort the Nil de Pigeon or something. It's some French fort somewhere. There are
Oh
over
yeah,
1,000 French forts.
Fort of the Pigeon. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I saw your
so it
video.
is a pigeon fort.
So, and it actually looks, yeah, right, like a pigeon.
Yeah, it really does. Man, there's something more to those pigeons. Have you ever heard about the passenger pigeon?
The like homing pigeon, you mean, or?
Yeah, they were
Yep.
definitely. There were so many passenger pigeons in back in the old days in America, like that they had to kill them as pests, and like there was an era where every day at dinner they would basically serve a homing pigeon.
Oh, really? Right.
Yeah, but
So they
we're
were there
wondering
for a reason,
whether
obviously. Yeah.
it went from like a I think they were like in the hundreds of millions of homing pigeon in the US and or passenger pigeons, and they said in a matter of like decades they got rid of all of them, like every one of them went
Every.
away, disappeared. So some of the guys from stolenhistory.org have posed the question, does that logistically make sense? Is this possible? And if so, how and why?
It doesn't seem possible to get rid of every last one, and especially in that shorter time period.
and they said that I remember a passage from an old article. If a large flock of these passenger pigeons would pass over your farm, it could take over half an hour for the sky to be lit up again. From
What?
that's the multitude of passenger pigeons.
Wow.
The groupings were so large that it really outdoes anything in terms of murmurations today.
Yeah, it's interesting. So looks like they were a big part of communications because they obviously were being bred for something.
Yeah, and so that was why I wanted to tie in with the communication. So if they made a fort in the pigeon form, maybe they're honoring like the
Ah,
idea
yeah.
they got from the pigeon with these forts, perhaps.
Okay, yeah, okay. So
Com-
symbolically, like now we have
communication.
his
Yeah.
piece. Symbolically, it would have been communication because it came. That's how they
Yeah.
how they
It,
originally used them. Yeah, right.
I'm guessing this is like the backbone of the old commercial system, and that is why they're using birds. It's like FedEx today uses the eagle. It's like the postmaster.
Mm,
This
yeah,
is the old postal communication systems. And
definitely.
and in our system today, the highest organizations and corporate institutes in the whole world are the communications and the harbors and the post offices. Those are the highest echelons of the system. Without these three, there would be no system.
Yes, interesting, and that's all been changed as well. We won't get into that. We'll get off topic again, but postmaster and stamps and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that is
But right through, no, that's
a
way too.
rabbit hole of a very large size.
Yes, let's leave
Yeah.
that. All right, let's click
A
on.
lot of people in your country is really good at that rabbit hole. For instance, Romney Stewart, if you know him.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, there's a few good ones. Yeah, there's a channel too, I think, called what's it called? Liberty Mate.
Yeah,
It's pretty
exactly.
good. There seem to be a lot of guys sort of around 60, 70 in Australia that are right into it.
Yeah,
And we've got a few of them, and they just go around and harass the crap out of police and do stuff and go, come and get me, and they just have
yep.
fun. Like, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I love the Australians for their attitude in those relations. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look at this fort though. It's like it it's massive.
This is underneath it, is it? Is this
Yeah. This is
tunnels?
inside of it.
Wow. So I've got two
You can
levels here, one massive level here,
it's just
and
extraordinary.
this is yeah cross section, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's huge.
Yeah, it's really huge. Yeah. And just begs the question what these structures were like. We
I
still
mean,
don't know.
no, I mean, and looking at that, I mean, you could house a population in there if you had rooms. That it's almost like what's it called? Darren Yaku, Darren. You know, the underground city in Turkey
Yeah. Yeah.
where they had people. So I mean, is this to do with were they hiding from? Were they defensive in that way as well? Oh,
Right. Oh,
here we
these
have
are the turning
these
forts.
the turning ones. Yeah.
Forts turnants,
Turn-
which means turning forts. These were able to rotate.
Wow. Defense ports. Jeez.
Yeah.
And the question is, and I mean, you can see it here too, but with lighthouses, I mean, how do they build the foundations? Some of those
Yeah.
lighthouses they're like right out at sea, and it's like, how could you possibly do that?
Yeah, maybe they found the foundations and built on top of them.
Well, this is what I think, or sea levels were different, but I mean, I don't. Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
all the foundations were built, by the
I do have
ancients.
some depictions where they show in the 1800s they're diving to 20 meters of depth and salvaging old forts that are submerged. Like, imagine this picture and these three forts being under, let's say, 50 feet of ocean water.
Yeah, okay.
They have had that in the 1800s in the Mediterranean and in American Harbor, and they would cruise out, and they would send people down in diver spells and destroy them.
Oh God, really? But I mean, yeah, you can imagine this could literally be the top of a citadel or something, couldn't it? And then just massive starfort down underneath.
Indeed, there could be a tunnel connecting them.
3 towers on a wall or something. Who knows? Gosh.
Yeah. And they're turning, man. So
Which
go
is
to
another
the.
thing. Oh,
You can see
there's so
here.
much buried on land. How much is buried under the water?
See, this is the inside section of the turning fort. And what I want you to pay attention is the middle section for the tower.
Yeah.
that we saw in the other depictions, and the round section around it where you have cannons and levels.
Yeah, yeah.
Now pay attention to the gears in the bottom of it and on the middle pillar there. This is the mechanism that enables the fort to turn 360 degrees.
Yeah.
If you remember the old drawings, all these sections kind of line up with the hollow spaces in the forts we were just looking at.
Yep.
So this would indicate to me that those hollow spaces in the other forts were to implement this gear system.
Okay, yeah, right.
So they could turn.
Yes. Or they've been taken out or whatever, or they're not there anymore. Yeah, but these are we've still got. Because I mean, you can see these. It looks like this is sitting on these, and these just turn. So this whole outside just turns around.
Yeah, and the middle section is like the middle axis, and that's why you needed a central tower in those round forts.
Yeah, so it spins, and God knows where it's getting its power from. They're not showing this one, but you would think
maybe they stake it to the ground. Yeah, to gain some power from the ground. Yeah.
I mean, it could also be. I mean, I don't know. Went down, big water wheel, underground canal. Would that turn it? Who knows?
Yeah, so this is very interesting.
Very interesting.
Oh, this is some ancient ones. This is a cigarette Starforts in Palestine. And they're everywhere.
A cigarette?
Yeah, C as in
cigarette. Sorry, cigarette.
Yeah. So Mike and I would argue that those types are the another type of Starforts. And you find them in regular Starforts. You would have an inner citadel with this style, and around it you would have the European so-called fortification style. So they're definitely interchangeable. And here you see around Mound of Olives, just full of Starforts.
Yep, all on little hills.
Yep.
All connected. Interesting how they've done this in red. But that's the same, it's actually half yellow too, isn't it? So that looks like water, like you were saying before, is...
It's like a communication line again, because it goes over the mountains, but I would think that it goes under them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pretty straight line, so it looks like it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah, I think maybe we should hold it here.
Yep.
It's been
2-hour recording. Hours, is it? God, they went fast.
They went fast, man. Yeah.
It did. All right. Well.
So, yeah, awesome. I think we should do this again. I think you should upload this to your channel.
Yep. Cool. And I'll put links and everything. I might cut it in half. I'll see how long it is, but I might cut it into 2 if it's like 2 hours.
Yeah, good idea.
Let's do part 1, part 2, and yeah. Now, just how do I? How do I upload it?
I can stop the recording now. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Yep.